Today's episode is an interview with Dr. Muhammad Umar Hafeez. He uses his voice to advocate telepharmacy and educate pharmacists and pharmacy students online. He's also the only pharmacist I know who occasionally has to take a helicopter to get to work. You're listening to the Pharmacist Voice Podcast, a journey-style podcast about my career change from pharmacist to voice actor. I'm your host, Kim Newlove. I alternate solo shows and interview shows. The solo shows are about my career change, and the interview shows feature a variety of people who use their voices to advocate, educate, or entertain. I specialize in medical narration and e-learning. If you have a project in mind, contact me through my website, thepharmacistvoice.com. That's thepharmacist with an S, voice.com. Thank you for joining me for episode 25. Telepharmacy and telemedicine have become essential during the COVID pandemic. Using electronic information and telecommunication technologies, telepharmacy allows contact between patients and pharmacists. Care, advice, education, reminders, monitoring, it can all be provided when in-person interactions are just not an option. Speaking of telecommunication technology and allowing long-distance contact, my guest today is Dr. Muhammad Umar Hafeez. I will refer to him as Dr. Umar. Although we are physically more than 7,000 miles apart, Dr. Umar and I were able to connect for an interview on June 15th. Because of his unique work setting, he has been using telepharmacy since well before the COVID pandemic. Let me tell you a little more about my guest, then we'll dive right into the interview. Dr. Umar is a pharmacist. He graduated with his Doctor of Pharmacy degree from the University of the Punjab in Lahore, Pakistan in 2012. Then he earned his MBA in 2019 from the Dubai campus of the Spanish Institute Universidad Católica de Murcia, also known as UCAM, or the Catholic University of Murcia. Over the past 8 years, Dr. Umar's work experience has included roles in hospital, research, freelance work, quality audits, training, education, and telepharmacy. Dr. Umar lives in Abu Dhabi, which is located in the UAE. He supervises pharmacy operations for the leading oil and gas company in the UAE. He is a strong advocate of telepharmacy. His telepharmacy practice sites include oil rigs, both onshore and offshore, remote sites in the desert, deep sea platforms, oil barges, and natural and man-made islands in the Arabian Gulf. In his spare time, he volunteers online with a group called Giving Back to Pharmacy in Pakistan. It can be described as an organization of volunteer pharmacists from around the world aiming to refine the pharmacy profession in Pakistan by sharing best practices and engaging relevant stakeholders. He helps both pharmacists and pharmacy students. A link to that group and Dr. Umar's LinkedIn profile are both in the show notes. Check those out. Without further ado, here's my interview with Dr. Muhammad Umar Hafeez. Hi, Dr. Umar. I invited you on the podcast because you use your voice in an interesting way as a pharmacist. Can you tell me about what you do?
Hi, Dr. Kim. First of all, thanks to you for inviting me and giving me opportunity to voice what I do. And I will start with this small thing because I am passionate about the telepharmacy and telehealth, telemedicine. So I will restrain myself only on this. And first of all, as you asked, that I will tell you what I do. I am a pharmacist, licensed pharmacist here in UAE and back in my country, Pakistan. So I work with oil and gas sector. The company which I work for, they are providing the emergency healthcare services on site in oil and gas sector, and we have GP clinics and first aid posts and field hospitals in oil and gas field, both onshore and offshore. So this is my brief introduction, as I am working as a subject matter specialist in the head office of our company, and usually I am working some days in field, 2 days of a week, and sometimes more than this, and rest of the 3 days I am working from home in these COVID-19 pandemic situation, and before that we were working in the office. So first of all, uh, as I move on for the telemedicine or telepharmacy, what is telepharmacy? For me, it's a combination. It's a use of health technology. It's a mix-up of technology and the healthcare. You provide the services through your available technology. It refers to the healthcare services provided via a range of technology enabled communication systems, like it has face-to-face interactions through phone, through video chatting, and through internet, and without face-to-face interaction through telephone, through email, and obviously we do have to consider about the confidentiality. So in this context, your connection should be secure and confidential, because the patient confidentiality is the most important thing. The second thing after this telepharmacy or the telemedicine is telecounseling. So it, for me, it has a range of services which me or I'm doing on daily basis. It's advice on medication management, it's providers care instruction, insurance approval, local regulation approvals, and referral for further investigation, and some specialty also for the quality audits and related queries, any technical aspects of these things. So this is what I am doing these days.
Very interesting.
First, yeah.
Your patients are actually on oil rigs in the middle of the ocean, right? In the Persian Gulf?
Yes. Yes, in the Persian Gulf.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's on, not only on the offshore. It's I told you that it's onshore as well. Onshore means they are in the middle of the desert in this part of the region. So it's as per this telehealth and telepharmacy or the telemedicine, in these pandemic situations, it becomes a need of the hour. But we were practicing this before this pandemic situation. In this pandemic situation, I would say that everyone has house locked, or they are in lockdown period. Yani different sectors of this part of the region are locked down. Even the streets are locked down as per the case identifications, and all the rigs and all the places, site clinics, they are locked down. No one can go in until unless they have the very necessary situation or any emergency situation. So for us, we were doing these things before. In obviously in our circumstances and in our type of services which we provide, keeping in mind the sensitivity of the company, of the client, and the sensitivity of our clients, which is more important for us. So I would try to say that I have one interesting data with me. It's from US. There is one company, ShareCare. They have recently they have studied during this pandemic situation, that interviewed 100,000 patients, and out of 100,000, 42% were saying they are unable to reach out the doctor. It's and 25% of the people, they have postponed the appointments, not because that the doctor is not available. There were two things which they mentioned, that the doctor, obviously they are in lockdown situation, they cannot go out, and the second thing, doctors are, some doctors, not all, they refuse to take the patient because of this fear that maybe they have the corona. So in our part here in UAE, or in this part of the region, we have a very potential market for this telehealth. Like in 2017, there was one study which shows that UA is number one in using smartphone. So we have the potential, we have the smartphone users. Just we need to launch some applications and to use this technology thing for our own benefit of telehealth.
Yeah, sorry to interrupt. I can tell that you're using it not just because of COVID, but because of the location sensitivity. And you're talking
Yes.
about the whole region, the whole area where you are.
Yeah.
You're in Abu Dhabi, UAE, correct?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you're a little bit more maybe forward thinking. You've been using it over there prior to COVID. Is that what you were saying?
Yes, we were using it because this thing is for us. We are in working with the remote areas, the rigs, deserts, the barges, platforms. Some are movable and some are offshore. Some are far islands. It's span over whole UAE. So connecting all these areas and taking the queries from one location, it's not easy. It's not easy to travel over there on daily basis as well. We have almost 150 clinics which are connected each other. So it's not easy to reach out those areas in 1 day, 2 days. Even you cannot even reach out to them if you start visiting. It takes years if you go daily on one clinic, but you don't have time. So we were using this before this COVID situation by connecting all these and providing the services. And but recently, I will tell you a success story about this, which we have done with our patients for chronic diseases. Obviously, we cannot provide telehealth or telemedicine or telepharmacy thing for the emergency situations, but we can provide this service for the chronic medications for the chronic patients, which is recently before we were working on this, but we were receiving only 1 or 2 requests in a month for chronic medication because the patients on site, they have a cycle of work. They will work for 14 days. Maybe some are working 28 days and 28 days leave. Some are working 14 days and 14 days leave. So they are bringing their own medicines, chronic patients, and when after 14 or 28 days they are going out and they can purchase from the city or from their home country wherever they are staying. But in this lockdown period, when that lockdown increased from months, 3-4 months, they are in those areas. They cannot go out because of this situation, because the sanitization going on and the government and all the airports, even the seal, every any country has their own SOPs for this situation. So this query comes to us and we tackle with these things that we take their prescriptions and we provide them refill through our central purchase system to the site through our medication transporting units. We have vehicles, we have helicopters, and we have whatever the means of transportation. It was keeping in mind the integrity and the quality of the medicine is not affected. So this is our success story, recent success story, which we have implemented and we apply this in a practical way.
It sounds like it works for you. COVID sounds like it's a little bit different from prior to COVID. Can you tell me prior to Can you tell me
it was very good.
Prior to COVID, what was a typical work week like for you? And then maybe compare it to what it's like now. Because I think it's kind of interesting that you might have to go to these places. So can you satisfy my curiosity and tell me, did you take a helicopter, a boat? How'd you get to these places? Go for it.
It depends, Yani. I told you that we have almost 100 plus clinics. So in those areas, some are onshore rigs and oil fields. So for those, you have to go to reach out those areas through through vehicle, SUVs, Land Cruisers, Jeeps, and which is obviously easy to travel in deserts especially. And also, if you are going for the offshore, particularly, you are using uh, jet, because some islands have their own airports, so you travel through jet to reach there. And if you are going further to some vessel or some rig or offshore rig or some barges and or some platform clinics, so you have to travel through helicopter. So if this is the means of transportation, and you need to have some special trainings for these things as well. And normally when I visited those sites, my job description or the as a medication expert, I usually go for the internal audits or external audits just to see that the medication areas or the pharmacy are up to the mark. They are fulfilling all the required international standards, MMU, medication management use of as per the outpatient. This JCIA regulations are fulfilled. Also, I have to train the nurses and physicians and pharmacists about these aspects as per the standard guidelines of the Ministry of Health here and as per the international standards, whatever we are following. Because we are following both. Our target is international standards in this. So I am training on those areas. I have to do the audits. I have to prepare the audit reports as quality audits, obviously. And if there is any non-compliance to those things, I have to prepare an action plan and keeping in mind the deadline. And I have to deliver within the deadline that non-compliance into compliance. So this is related to this. Also, I am working on policies and procedures, regulatory approvals if there is any in the local market. And the last is not, but not the least, is which is more important for us, for our company, the collecting of evidence-based key performance indicators. We have KPIs to deliver and to show our clients and our customers that whatever we are doing as per the international standards, the quality audits have evidence-based KPI data. So if there is any audit is happening, we have backend of key performance indicators to prove that we have achieved that target, and evidence of those KPIs is with us through data form, through pictorial, or through graphs, whatever the to satisfy our clients. And the last is ADR monitoring and the medication errors. Whatever is happening, we are reporting to the Pharmacovigilance Center of the Ministry and in all those site clinics. So this is also one of my tasks, to monitor these things and to report timely as per standards.
Would you say you're the pharmacist who has interaction with the patients, or would you say you're in more of a supervisor type of a role?
Yes, my role is supervisor, because I am overseeing all the operation in whole UAE. We have local pharmacists over there, which are taking care, but only in the field hospitals. But in some places, most of the places, not some places, we have only first aid post where we have only nurses, and in some places with the doctors, general practitioners. So not all places have pharmacists to overlook. So for those sites, especially, I need to go the training and for their education, how to use, how to store, and how to deliver, how to dispense those medicines, because they don't have privileges to dispense those medicines. So we have to train them. We have an approved formulary, and in that particular formulary scenario, we have to train those nurses, obviously with the collaboration of the nursing director and our medical team management. So we are working as a team.
Well, that's great. That's great.
Yeah.
I was curious if you were the person actually, face to face. It sounds like you are the director, like you said, or a supervisor role for all these
Yeah,
pharmacists. Now, do they
yeah,
follow the same type of a schedule where they're out to sea on a ship for 14 days and in for 14 days or on an oil
yes,
rig or, yeah?
yes, yes. They are following the same. Yeah, they are working 28 days out. So uh, they are working in a cycle.
Very interesting. And
Yes, it's an interesting and as well as adventurous as well. But I have the privilege to go all the places because I'm not limited to one place. I am wandering anywhere in any onshore, offshore, everywhere. This is the privilege I have, and this is very much adventurous.
yeah, let's talk about that. I sense a sense of adventure in not just this job, but I have
Yeah,
looked at your LinkedIn profile and it seems
yeah,
like your education history is a little adventurous. You have
yes.
not stayed in the same place for all your education. Can you talk a little bit about how you got to where you are educational wise and geographically wise too? I would love to hear about this. It's very interesting.
See, as I told you before that uh, I am a curious person, and this job it's very exciting, and it's as per my, it's fulfilling. That from my soul that whatever I do, I love this, and I have, especially when I did my Form D. I was in the start of my career. I was in a hospital pharmacy. I was working over there. Then I moved to within the same organization. I moved to clinical trials, and then policies and procedures, quality audits, and then finally it brings this opportunity for me, and I joined this organization. I came in this organization not on this position, honestly. I joined this organization because I love to be in offshore. So I applied, but after interview, I got this opportunity to visit all these places and to supervise all this because of my experience and qualification. I got this opportunity to work as a supervisor for whole operation.
Now, I got to tell you, I have lived my entire almost 42 years in the same
Yeah.
part of the United States. And you have gone to pharmacy school, and then gotten your MBA in two different countries, haven't
Yeah.
you? Can you tell me a little bit about
Yes.
your education history?
Yes. Actually, I did Form D from Pakistan, and back in 2012. Then I told you that from last 6 or 7 years, I was in different positions and with different organizations. 2 years in Pakistan, then almost 5 to 6 years. 2015, I came here January in UAE, and then I started working here. I learned many things from this market. I improved myself. I have worked with this different positions, and then I did MBA last year, and with business management diploma as well from the Cambridge Institute. So there is UCAM. I did my master's in MBA, business administration from UCAM. They have a campus in UAE. So I did this, and meanwhile, I got different certifications as well, as per my job needs and as per my interest in this field. So I'm blessed that I have a very exciting and versatile role, but it takes time, and the continuous education and the always learning attitude uh, gives you all these things.
I'm a lifelong
This is
learner
my
too.
yes. We are all without learning. We will be. I think I will be dead. So every day we are learning. I mean, I would say that I am learning from you as well.
Oh,
Many
well,
things.
thanks.
Yeah, yeah. We are learning from every day. Because every day is a new day, and we are learning.
Would you say that to do the job that you're doing right now, you definitely had to have a Pharm D, right?
Yes.
But what other training? What made you qualified to have this role? The MBA, business training, sense of adventure, all of it?
Yes, yes. As I tell you earlier that I am PharmD with MBA and also business management diploma. This thing, PharmD is the basic necessity. After that, you should have a license to practice here, and then for the supervisory role, obviously, you should have some management degree as well. So it's a combination of qualification which brings me here. But I would say that there are some basic things which you should have for this particular job, which is all over the world. This is internationally recognized trainings and certifications for all people who are working in oil offshore oil rigs or somewhere in offshore. You should have a TBOSIT training, which is abbreviation of Tropical Basic Offshore Safety Induction and Emergency Training. That is OPITO recognized, and this which is an international body. So once you are working in oil and gas sector or in offshore, especially wherever you work, I told you that maybe you are in Indian Ocean working, you are working in Gulf of Mexico, you are working in America, Canada, wherever you work. If you are going, you have to pass this basic training. Then you have to have some H2S training, because wherever you go in oil fields, you should have some. You will encounter different kind of gases, which is not healthy. So you should have some training on H2S, obviously with some HSC training as well. Wherever you go, you should have. If I'm going on some rig or some oil field, I have to have HSC induction, which contains the whole platform map, safety, exit, entry, if any mishap happened, how you will respond to that. So these type of HSC type trainings. But one thing more which I am doing right now, I am doing British Safety Council diploma as well, just to fulfill. I have a desire to do this diploma because it will help me to understand more the function of safety and in a workplace. British Safety Council, it's a level 6 diploma, and it will be very helpful for me to be in to understand the operation, especially in oil and gas sector and in workplace as well. So this is just for my personal fulfillment. It's not required, obviously, for this job. This job is enough with your license, Form D, and this MBA degree, and obviously your knowledge. Urge to the work on policies and procedures, local laws in this area.
That's a lot to know. You are
Yes.
one smart cookie.
Yeah. You can check the LinkedIn profile. There are all the things but it's step by step. It's not over a day, because as I told you that it's continuous improvement, continuous education, and to reach this point.
When you talk about education, it reminds me that before we started recording this interview, you mentioned that you are planning to mentor students. Can you tell me a little bit about that? Because you use your voice to educate as well.
Yes, actually, we are working as a volunteer. We have a group to educate and to train and coach our pharmacists back in my country, home country. And we have a group here, which we started 2 years back. This is a volunteer, just to bring all the pharmacists on one platform from all over the world, all Pakistani origin, and those pharmacists are with their best practice, and we are doing the online lectures and webinars, and we upload those webinars, which is obviously live, but for the people who cannot attend at that time, we are uploading on our LinkedIn page, on our Facebook page, on Twitter, and also on our YouTube channel as well. So we are coaching, and we are giving mentorship to those students, so that they can they know, especially the young graduates and the people who are working in the hospital, in community pharmacy, and in those areas, to know the best practices, international practices, because they need this mentorship. Because in universities or in colleges, you are learning the theoretical things, but when you come into the field, you have a different type of scenarios, day to day queries. So for us, our aim to build this group and to this mentorship program is to educate those and give them a real life scenarios and practical things, so that they can learn, and when they go in the market or in the job place, they should have some practical things, which obviously we were not having at that time when we were student. So this is basically a platform which we have built with all the experts from different fields, from research, from community pharmacy, from hospital pharmacy, from marketing, from from the academia. The people are from USA, from in the universities, the professors in our group. So we are doing this just to help those students, and it's volunteer. We are not doing this thing for any profit or gain.
So just to review, you are
Yeah.
mentoring pharmacy students from Pakistan
Yes.
to expose them to the many opportunities that are
Yes.
available in the pharmacy profession. And you get to
Yes.
speak from you have an interesting background from being a pharmacist for 8 years in different settings. So I
Yeah.
commend you for sharing those experiences
Yeah.
with young people.
Yes, we are doing this, and our if you go on my LinkedIn profile, you will see the one page which I am managing. You can approach me or at any time for any query, but through that page or through that media, YouTube channel and Twitter and those Facebook thing, we are delivering whatever in the monthly basis or bi-weekly, or sometimes as per the availability of the speaker, we are bringing those experts, and we are delivering the lectures to train our people in back in Pakistan. So the details you can search.
I commend you.
You can check on my link. Yeah.
I'll have to do that. Yes, that is one link I have not checked out on your LinkedIn yet.
Yeah.
You have a lot of connections, a lot of followers. I imagine many of those are students that you've helped.
Yes, obviously. This is it's blessing, and because if you deliver something, if you give something good, and this is, I told you that this is volunteer, so it comes back to you. So following, it's not me, it's because of what we are doing. Not me, there are many other people there as well which are giving their volunteer efforts. So this following is not for me, it's basically it's for the profession. We are all here for our profession, to boost this profession and to serve the community, uh, and to serve our people wherever we work, in UA, in Pakistan, because everywhere this is open forum. LinkedIn, it's just open forum. Anyone can come and check those things.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I commend you and everyone that's helping with this effort.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Now, is there anything you'd like to share that we haven't covered already?
I think we have discussed in detail all the aspects of my job, and also my qualifications and whatever I am doing. So, well, thank you for your time and giving me this opportunity. So, and also, I would comment on this, that this is my first time to give an interview, so I was a bit confused and a little bit, but it goes well. I don't know how well it goes. You can comment on this.
I think you did great. I invited you on the show to share how you use your voice as a pharmacist, and you definitely did that. And the reason that I invited you on, like I mentioned when in our interview invitation, was I was very interested in how you advocate telepharmacy and telehealth to support oil and gas industry workers on offshore rigs, platforms, and barges. I just think it's really interesting. And I know because of confidentiality, you can't exactly share private stories about ways that you've influenced lives, but I can only imagine how few options you have on an oil rig to get a prescription and health information. And I think it's fantastic that there's something available. I'm sure there's a USA equivalent of this, but you are the first person I met that does this particular telepharmacy with oil rigs and offshore populations. So thank you for being on the show. You did fantastic. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah. And just in last, which I was not able to tell you the challenges which we face. Maybe in other countries, maybe in USA and Canada, these challenges are not there. But as per the local laws and due to the sensitivity of this operation, we have many challenges. Like we cannot record a video, we don't have cameras, and some places we don't have even internet. Because these are far remote areas, and these are connected through radio transmission, like military type of thing. So these are our means of communication in those areas are very slow. So this is the real time challenges which we face. But yes, we have encountered those challenges as well, and we are doing our best, alhamdulillah, because we have a turnaround time as a KPI to provide the services, and we are doing those things best, alhamdulillah.
Very interesting. And with COVID going on, I'm sure that the best practices that you had in place and all of the systems and abilities to reach people have been just as good.
It's been multiplied basically, because where there is a need, where there is a will, there is a way. So this when we see the disasters and chaos have the opportunities. So for us, it was an opportunity to refine our infrastructure, which we already have, and to improve whatever we faced in this particular time. And we come out with strong and with more confidence that in this part of the world or anywhere, because these rules and these policies and these procedures, SOPs, can be applicable anywhere in the world. So for us, we are more strong, we are more confident.
Well, let's wrap this up, shall we?
Yeah.
Thank you again for being on the Pharmacist Voice podcast, Dr. Umar. I hope you are well and you continue to do wonderful things in telepharmacy in the future. Thanks again.
Thank you, Dr. Kim, and it was very nice talking with you and discussing all those things. And I have learned a lot with this interview. And for those who are going to listen this, I would say that this is not all. There are many things which, due to my job responsibilities or some restrictions, I cannot say. So we can connect each other through LinkedIn, and I can share the stories as well for the benefit of others. If anyone have such type of operation or they need some kind of guidance on SOPs.
I will put your LinkedIn information in the show notes so people can easily click a button and connect with you.
That will be nice from your side. Thank you so much for that.
What a great interview. Just a few closing remarks. Dr. Umar is the only pharmacist I know who occasionally has to ride a helicopter to get to work. How cool is that? He loves what he does. His education, work experience, and personal sense of adventure led him to what he does today. No matter what industry you find yourself in, I hope you find a way to use your voice in a way that you love. Thank you for joining me for episode 25 of the Pharmacist Voice podcast. Visit thepharmacistvoice.com to subscribe and read the show notes. That's thepharmacist with an S, voice.com.